got another member of the Cantina Chaos right here with me, none other than GGBrickzz. How you doing today, man?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, good to hear. I know you got summer break coming up, so there's a lot of Star Wars, a lot of Lego to catch up on. But how's work going for your full time job?
Well, we're winding down end of the semester. I'm a teacher, so preparing all the kids for the final. And this is the last full week. Next week, we're doing half week. We're off on Wednesday, and off for the next 2 months, pretty much.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Shout out to all the teachers out there. Of course, shout out GG Bricks. He's one for the youth, one for the future. But absolutely love to hear that, man. I think I couldn't remember if it was you real early when I joined the group chat um saying that you were a teacher. I couldn't remember if it was you or someone else in the group chat, but I think it was the Cantina chats group chat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think there's two of us in there that are teachers. I can't remember who else it was. But it was me and somebody else who said that they were a teacher as well. But I can't remember their username. But there's definitely
Yeah,
two of us in there
that's crazy too.
representing.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird to see like all of these careers, all of these different paths that we've taken in life, and we're all just Lego Star Wars fans. It's actually insane that there's so many difference like in between all of us, but at the same time, this certain thing brings us all together, which that's probably one of my favorite things. Even like starting the Instagram, starting the YouTube channel is just connecting with everyone. Like the networking is just so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely have to say that my favorite thing about Lego, and not just Lego Star Wars, but Lego in general, it doesn't matter what theme you like, whether it's city, modulars, Disney, whatever. Everybody's very, tight knit. Like if you need help with something, typically somebody's gonna offer you some help, right? If you need
Hmm.
help with editing, if you need, help with like building techniques, or even like finding deals and stuff. Like we're constantly trying to help each other out, and whatever it is. So it's pretty awesome being a part of the community, and I think that's what makes it amazing at the end of the day and fun to be a part of.
Yeah, 1000%. Yeah, I think I mean, I've only been collecting since 2021. And I mean, the first set I got, it was just right away, So I've like for me personally, Lego Star Wars, of course, is my big thing, but I mean, I love the Lego plants, like all of the botanicals. I love all those. The wife loves those as well, of course. And then kind of dipping into some of like, the bonsai tree, the tranquil garden. We have the tuxedo cat, we got some like the majestic tiger. Like that was a
Yeah.
huge set for a while. I mean, we got so many of the little sets, and then yeah, of course, the Lego Star Wars just kind of takes the main attraction of the Lego room that we have. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to see all of the different fandoms within Lego, and also I think the Lego ideas is really cool. I've wanted to really see a Breaking Bad set come to light,
Oh,
there,
dude.
even though there's like
Oh,
the
man.
Temu version, which I mean is really accurate. It's really cool, but like I need the official Lego because like
No,
one of my
yeah.
homies is he gets a lot of his sets off of AliExpress, so it's kind of like the
Mhm.
knockoff version.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it might be missing a few pieces here and there, but I mean, I'm just in too deep with Lego brand, so it's just like I
Yeah.
can't go any other route.
Well, I mean, it's funny you bring that up because I mean I'm a big Breaking Bad fan myself. I think it's for me personally probably top 5 shows of all time. Um,
Yeah.
and not too long ago I saw somebody on Instagram. They did a Breaking Bad mock, and so I looked it up on Rebrickable. And I was like, you know what? How much? Because like yourself, I'm a purist. I want to build it with like real Lego. And I was like, let me see how much it would cost me to build a Breaking Bad RV with official Lego parts. And I found something on Rebrickable that I really loved. I put it into Bricklink to get all the
Mm.
parts. Dude, it was like about $300 to
Mm.
build probably an RV that was maybe about that big, you know?
Wow.
Uh, I didn't go through with it, uh, but it would be awesome for Lego to one day make something like that. Now, I highly doubt it, just because the show deals with a lot of drugs and stuff that probably Lego doesn't want to be associated with. So we may never see it happen. Who knows? But that would definitely be perfect,
Mm.
top notch.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, I will piggyback right off of you. I think, to be fair, I think the greatest TV series of all time is Breaking Bad. I just think, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, okay, slow season one, linking into second season, third season, fourth season. And then by the finale, you're just like, what just happened? Like this is one of the craziest, like full circle endings for so many characters, and it just makes so much sense. And I mean, being a Star Wars fan, you always hear the term good writing or bad writing tossed around
Yeah,
left and right. So I mean, if we're gonna go that route, I mean, Breaking Bad is just phenomenal,
yeah.
impeccable writing. I mean, it was perfect.
And I feel like very rarely do you ever see a show that's as good as Breaking Bad come out with a spinoff, which was Better Call Saul,
Oh
and
yeah,
that show being just as good. Because I mean, there are people out there, and we're getting away from Star Wars and Lego, but there are people out there that truly believe that Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad, which is wild to me. I love both shows, and like you said, the writing, it's really what makes that show. And it would be awesome to to be able to say stuff like that about some Star Wars stuff out there, you know.
oh
But
yeah,
it's an awesome show, and maybe who knows, in the future we might see some Lego out of it. Be
yeah.
awesome.
Hey, we could. I yeah, especially with like the 18 plus line. Adults welcome. That's like the big thing with the
Yeah,
18 plus line. So it's like, hey, I mean, bring in a mature audience, but yeah, at the same time, yeah, I mean, Better Call Saul. The last season was just, what's going on, like completely wrapped around. I still remember like having like a mini panic attack during the episode where Gus hides. Howard and Lalo underneath the like the underground lab that he makes
yeah,
at the laundromat. Like I that entire episode, like my heart was pounding, So oh yeah, I feel like I'm revisiting those feelings again, like
yeah.
just
No,
crazy.
I recently started doing a rewatch. Not like a full-on rewatch, but kind of like background. And it just brings me back. When I was watching that show, and I was still living at my parents' house, and it brings me back. It's like people say that about music, but it's the same thing
Mm.
with certain movies and TV shows, and it definitely brings me back.
Yeah, 1000%. I mean, hey, we can link both worlds together. I mean, Skinny Pete was a Mandalorian in Mando season 3. That was pretty cool. I feel like maybe there's others connection wise. But yeah, I mean, that was really cool to see.
I mean, Giancarlo Esposito,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
oh my
How could I
gosh,
forget?
yeah. He plays, Gus perfectly, and then comes into Star Wars and plays Moff Gideon. For me personally, one of the best villains in Star Wars for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just I think the actor and then his story and just he looks badass.
Yeah.
Like just everything about him, I love him as a villain. I love him as an actor. I love the writing that went into him in The Mandalorian. So I definitely love him, and I feel like Breaking Bad was a part of the reason he. I don't know too much about his other works, but Breaking Bad for sure had to be something that brought him from here to up here as an actor.
Yeah. And see, like that's also it's cool to see actors like Giancarlo Esposito, Pedro Pascal, especially. They're I mean, they've always had work before, but I mean, they're kind of more so in the limelight, considered late bloomers. So, I mean,
Yeah,
that right there is just a huge, you know, jab at, hey, never give up, continue to follow your dreams. And it's never too late to start anything. I mean,
no, yeah,
obviously, all the prep and all the schooling and everything it took for them to get to the where they are now. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we see Pedro Pascal and everything. We see Giancarlo and everything. Even the Abigail movie, the little vampire chick,
I didn't watch that one.
came out a couple of years ago. I mean, a really funny flick, but I knew Giancarlo was in it, but he's in it more than you think. And like spoiler warning, like he ends up being a vampire in it. So it's like, God, he's everything, you know? So I've
Yeah,
seen him as a crazy, like uh, you know, drug kingpin, you see him as the chicken man, you see him as like an imperial remnant leader, and then also like a vampire. I mean, awesome. Awesome.
yeah. No, that I mean, same thing with Pedro Pascal. And he was in Game of Thrones. That's one of my other all-time favorite shows, and his character in that was one of my favorites till he got killed off, and his death was like spectacular. The way I don't know if you've seen it, but spoiler alert, he gets his eyes pushed in with two big fat old thumbs.
Uh
Going from that to then going to Narcos, which
oh
was
yeah,
also
yeah.
another great show. He was in that. He did awesome in that. And then after that, I don't know what other projects he was in, but from there, I remember him pretty much going into Mandalorian, and that's where definitely blew up for me.
Yeah.
Being a Star Wars fan.
Yep. I never watched Game of Thrones. I've watched the first 2 episodes all the way through and I just didn't continue. Um but I mean, no opinion on it. I just didn't continue to watch it. But I've actually recently on YouTube about a month ago looked up his death because I was very curious because I'm watching The Last of Us. Are you watching Last of Us?
Yeah, I'm not all the way caught up with season two yet. I've seen probably the first three episodes. But I will continue watching it over summer.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I was very like, okay, so like I'm not ready to see like Pedro Pascal die, and I think like
Yeah,
it's gonna happen for Din Djarin eventually too, because Grogu's gonna live to 900 years old. He
yeah,
Din Djarin's not. That's just not how humans work. But yeah, so I was like, I gotta see, how he died in Game of Thrones because like a buddy at work was telling me, he's like, check that out, because we were talking
yeah.
about some like deaths in movies and stuff like that, and he's like, go check that one out, and I was like, oh no, that's
Uh,
that's pretty
that it was a gruesome death for sure. But it was a badass death to say the least. So definitely, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Um, but no, talking about him, dude, I never even considered him dying off in The Mandalorian. So people are gonna cry when that happens. I feel like a lot of people are attached to Mando and Grogu and that whole universe that they've built. So I feel like people are definitely gonna cry. I feel I might tear up if it ever happens on screen. I feel like my wife would definitely
yeah.
cry her eyes out if that were to happen. But who knows? Hopefully, he has a good ending. Hopefully, I don't know what the rumors are, but hopefully it's good.
Yeah, I haven't heard any rumors. I feel you though on the, shedding a tear a little bit because I feel like Mandalorian brought me back to Star Wars, because there's kind of like those years of a void where there's just like nothing that really came out other than, the sequels came out, we're getting a movie once every 2 years, just came out for Rogue One as well. Stuff like that, but it was more of like the series that we've been used to the last 5 years. We're getting new animated series, new live action series, and stuff like that. But yeah, Mando brought me back. So I mean, how many close calls has Din Djarin had?
Oh,
It's just
yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me maybe in the Dave Filoni film like the end game of the Mandoverse, maybe he sacrifices himself to get Grogu or Ahsoka or Bo-Katan out of a situation. I have heard theories though, like this is where Boba Fett goes like this time, and it's like no, don't do that either, because
yeah.
that would hurt.
Now that would definitely hurt. Like it. Thinking about it now, it's definitely a show that I feel like I got way too attached to. And same thing. For not having any Star Wars content for a couple years, and then finally getting that show. I believe was it during the pandemic that we got the show,
Mando came
or
out right before. It was like
right before.
November, I think.
Yeah, and we were getting about an episode a week, and I remember it was like every Wednesday night, if I'm not wrong. So it was like
Yes.
every Wednesday night, new episode of Mando, and like going through that period, I don't think I started watching it when it first came out, But definitely, if it was like November, right before the pandemic, then for sure, once the pandemic hit and I had nothing else to do, I was watching it. And yeah, no, I definitely got attached to it. And so seeing it come to an end next year is going to be bittersweet.
Yeah.
But we'll see what else Dave Filoni and them are going to be cooking because I've heard a lot of good stuff that might be coming out in the near future. I'm not too, haven't been looking at the news too much, so I'm not as well informed as perhaps you are, but I'm definitely excited for where Star Wars is going. From where it was at, you know, back in 2016 when we barely got Rogue One after so many years of not having like a good movie, you know.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting time to be a Star Wars fan.
Oh yeah. And I love that a lot of fans are saying that. Um Actually, it was kind of like in a kind of like a little debate with a guy on Instagram earlier today. He was, just we're talking about, Andor, and then somehow it got to the sequel trilogy, and I'm just like, what's going on? Like, let's 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 talk about the things that we like. It's one of those
Yeah,
things where I always tell people, it's like, hey, if we're having a conversation about ice cream, and you happen to say you don't like mint chocolate chip ice cream, that's probably the last time I'm gonna expect you to talk about mint chocolate chip ice cream. I want to, if
yeah,
you like strawberry, I'm going to, 10 times out of 10, you're probably going to elaborate a little bit more on the strawberry. But I just, sometimes, I feel like we get a little too over critical with some of the Star Wars projects that come out. It's people more so want to focus on what they don't like rather than what they like. And I feel like that just kind of takes the joy from it. But that's just kind of where I stand. And it's just like, man, next time let's just talk about some cool shit. Like, let's talk about Ahsoka. Like, let's talk about
yeah.
Din Djarin and Grogu, and like what can happen for them next. Kind of like what we're doing now. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, because if I just feel like it's boring if we just sit and talk about what we don't like.
Yeah, I feel like so I myself I will watch whatever Star Wars show comes out. You know, like I haven't seen the Acolyte yet because I
Mm,
heard the reviews were like terrible. But after talking to Misa Briggs, he finally convinced me to watch it, and that's on my list for the summer as well to start on that. But I'm not going to ever hate on a Star Wars show or, talk bad about it. Even if I personally think it sucks, I'm not going to tell everybody else that it sucks. Because as a Star Wars fan, I don't want to scare off any new fans and I don't want to, make our community seem toxic.
mm,
Because if I'm just hating on, like, oh, they should have done this, or they're making, like in the new movies and sequels, how Ray is, everybody hates on her. Like talking bad about her um, would just, put a bad taste in some people's mouths. And I was talking to one of my coworkers recently, um, how when we grew up, obviously we're pretty young. We grew up on the prequels, and so for us, that was like the coolest thing ever. Like
mm,
we loved them. We adored them. We probably watched them hundreds and hundreds of times when we were growing up. But for people who grew up, back when the originals came out, they loved those. And then when the prequels came out, they absolutely hated them. Like they hated Christian Haydenson, and they just crapped on him all the time. And so what I feel like is going to happen now in the future is our generation, we hate the sequels.
mm.
But the kids who are growing up right now, the 8, 10, 12-year olds, they're growing up on that. Like, they put on Disney Plus, they're not going to click on an old,
No.
Star Wars title from 20 years ago or, from 40, 50 years ago. They're going to click on the one that looks cooler. And that's the sequels. And they're going to watch those movies hundreds and hundreds of times that by the time they're our age in a couple, 10, 15 years, they're going to be like, the sequels are the best ones.
Yeah.
And, I feel like that's the cycle we're going in. But I would never want to talk bad about the sequels for that very reason. I don't want to stop a 12-year-old kid from watching them because it's like, well, this dude on the internet saying it sucks. Like, why am I going to watch it? And I don't want to ever scare off any Star Wars fans. I feel like being a part of this community is awesome. And
Yeah.
the more people who join, the merrier.
Hmm.
So that's my stance on it. Definitely a lot different than some of the people that are on the internet.
Oh, 1000%. And that's the thing is it's like I love the internet so much, but I also hate it at the same time just for that aspect. Cause I mean, also I'm a huge Denver sports fan too. So like I'm always wanting to see, the latest, rumors, like what players are coming, who's going. And it's just like there's just trolls chilling underneath a tweet or underneath
Yeah,
an Instagram post. And it's just like, nah, team sucks. And it's like, dude, we're talking about, you know, Malik Beasley's contract extension. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, come
yeah.
on. But I mean,
Yeah,
it's the same thing for Star
dude, you
Wars.
don't even got. I'm a Atlanta fan, dude. So you don't even gotta tell me. Like last year when you drafted Michael Penix,
Oh yeah,
everybody was crapping on us because we had just signed Kirk to what was like 180 mil contract. I can't even
yeah,
remember.
it was fat.
Um, and I mean now look at it, right? It ended up working out because Kirk ended up taking a fat dump in the middle of the season.
Yep.
So the people that were hating on Michael Penix are like, you know, looking kind of dumb now.
Yeah, and I mean, if you also, I mean, stemming from Star Wars, I mean, if you look at it, Michael Penix just played a year where he wasn't, taking heavy hits. He was at least injured once every single season in college. So he just had a complete recovery year. So like, I mean, now look what's gonna,
Yeah,
be ahead from him. So I mean, yeah, I'm a Penix
I'm
guy. I like
excited.
Penix.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited for Atlanta. Not just Falcons, but Braves and everybody else.
Yeah.
Um, like I put this up here because I went to a Braves game last year. You know, they typically just do Star Wars nights for like
Yeah.
Dodgers and all these other different teams, and so they did a clone trooper last year.
That's fire.
Yeah, so I mean, dude, can't ever go wrong with Star Wars and baseball.
Yeah, dude, that's absolutely fire. We went to May the 4th at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City last year. Um and just to say the least, it was terrible. There was probably like, I don't know, maybe 20 people dressed up. There was no giveaway, there's no bobblehead. I mean, there's just nothing. They didn't even really have anything advertised on the scoreboard or nothing. Like it was actually like pretty shitty. Like I was like, what in the world is this? But I mean, it was cool. We had our jerseys on, Star Wars shirt underneath. But I do know like at Coors Field in Denver, um, obviously I'm a Rockies fan first, then the Royals, just due to location. But I mean, it like they have a banner that goes right around the outfield that is just all Star Wars, like the entire game. And then they'll have
Yeah,
giveaways. They'll have shirts with some of the Rockies, and maybe them holding lightsabers instead of the bat. Like that's really cool. I mean, even a couple years ago, this San Francisco Giants had a Mando Funko Pop, and it was him in the orange and black for
that's
the
pretty
like
dope.
the team colors. So I mean, and that's like a rare like pop to find. But it's
Yeah.
just like cool stuff like that. But I mean, so unfortunately, I have to call out the Royals on their mishaps last year. But maybe they'll get better. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I will say because the only other one I've gone to besides the Braves for Star Wars night is I'm not the biggest hockey fan, but we have a like minor league hockey team over here. I think the Georgia Gladiators is what they're called,
Oh, okay.
and they have a Star Wars night as well. And that's probably the coolest one I've ever been to because they were having like lightsaber battles between like the mascot from both teams, and then skating on the ice and having lightsaber battles. That was probably the coolest thing I've ever seen in terms
Damn.
of sports and Star Wars combined. And
Yeah.
it just goes to show how big the Star Wars fandom is and just how great it is to be a part of it.
Yeah, I know. It's like when would you ever expect to see some Star Wars like at a sporting event? You think like, oh,
Yeah.
football, like hockey, manly, but then like here's some like Star Wars, and like everyone looks at it as some like nerd culture, but it's like, yeah, dude, this is it's bigger than that. Like Star Wars is like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, like franchise like in all of like entertainment. So I mean, it's really cool to see them collab and like mix up with these other titles of entertainment, in the least, professional sports. So yeah, it's always a fun time to see that happen. But shit, man. Let's okay, so out of all of the Star Wars live action, what series sticks out to you the most? What is your favorite? Like, what first comes to mind when you think Star Wars live action series?
Are you talking about like TV shows or are you talking about movies?
We'll go just the TV shows.
Okay, TV shows for live action would definitely be The Mandalorian. Like I said earlier, having not gotten some good Star Wars content in a while, and then going through the pandemic, and everybody, just talking about Grogu, Baby Yoda, and all of that. Whenever I think about TV series, I always think about The Mandalorian. And then after that, I really, really love the Book of Boba Fett.
Yes.
I felt like in terms of live action, current modern stuff, the Book of Boba Fett was up there. Just having that background, I mean, what would you even call it? That like background information on Boba, how he got out of the Sarlacc pit, how he trained with the Tusken Raiders, um, and just going through all of that backstory. That to me, as a fan of Star Wars, a fan of the originals, and just a fan of Star Wars as a whole, that was just top tier Star Wars to me. And after that, I'm not. I liked Andor season one. I thought it was great. Um, and Ahsoka, I'm a little mixed on. Um, and to be quite honest with you, I think I got halfway through Ahsoka and kind of got a little bored of it.
Mm.
Okay. And not to say that it's a bad show. It's just sometimes you don't have time to do stuff. And I feel like something had to give, and I felt like at that time it was Ahsoka because I just wasn't as entertained and as fixated on it as I thought I would be. But it's one of those shows that I will definitely go back and rewatch and watch all the way through. But definitely The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. That's like Star Wars peak right there, in my opinion.
Yeah, dude. I always love hearing when other people talk about Book of Boba Fett, and that's cool because I had no idea that you were on the fence with it like that. Man, I think, of course, Mando. Just to get this out the way, the Mandalorian, of course, brought me back. Absolutely love the lone wolf and cub dynamic. With Din Djarin and Grogu. I love that we see another species of Yoda and Yaddle, and we're getting a fresh look at it as a young child. So it's just interesting to think, Yoda once upon a time was just like this. And I mean, a Mandalorian. I mean, it's awesome. Like the first one we ever see is Boba Fett, and he's not even a Mandalorian. So we really get to learn that rich culture from Mandalore. Kind of stems back to the Clone Wars, and I mean, they look so awesome. Like Mando's like armor is just 10 out of 10.
Dude, and I mean, talking a little bit more about The Mandalorian, just being able to see Mandalore and what happened to it after, Order 66 and all of that went down and how it's all in ruins. Like that to me, like just reignited like Star Wars in general
Mm,
because it provided so much like little details that you wouldn't have ever known if you didn't watch the show, or you know you don't even have to be a big Star Wars fan, but it's like seeing the ruins and stuff, like all of that's pretty cool. And then the other thing too that I really enjoyed was and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was in the Mandalorian because I know that the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian kind of intertwined for a little bit.
mm,
But the episode where it's Grogu during Order 66, like that, once again, peak Star Wars.
mm,
Like that episode to me, and being able to see that background and just that like filler was just awesome. And I'll bring up because this is one of my favorite in terms of animation, um, the Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh yeah.
That game has a scene of Cal Kestis during Order 66, and whenever you get to see those little stories, it's just awesome. Like for me, it will always be peak Star Wars. Like I got nothing negative to say about it. So
Yeah.
I just love it.
I agree with you because I'm a sucker for backstory. I'm also a huge advocate that the sequel trilogy gets their own animated Clone Wars style um, stories to kind of fill in the gaps because I mean, right now we're going through Andor, which is enhancing Rogue One, which Rogue One enhances A New Hope, which New Hope then enhances the entire original trilogy. And I mean, just like you were saying earlier, I got some friends that are old heads that, grew up in the 70s and 80s, kind of like my dad. And that's what they grew up with. So that's what they like. But, some of them don't like the prequels. They're just like, Anakin would never be this whiny dude who turns into Darth Vader. Like, this just doesn't make sense. And it's, of course, to us, like, that's, the golden era that we grew up in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just think the Clone Wars animated series enhanced the prequels. Like when I first saw the Clone Wars, I hated the entire idea of Ahsoka Tano being even a character. I was once that like toxic dude saying like, "Oh, this character sucks," but of course I kept it to myself. But I was just really infuriated with that because I wanted Anakin to become a master. When I was 8 years old, watching him in the theaters, just get torn down and turn to the dark side. So I was just like, dude, if Ahsoka was like like an actual character that like meant something to the story, this would have never happened to Anakin. So I mean, over time, Ahsoka, of course, is like almost a top 10 character for me. I absolutely love her character. I thought her show was great too. And I'm not even the biggest Rebels fan, to be fair, just to clear the air. And I absolutely picked up everything that was thrown down in Ahsoka. And I think it's great. But yeah, I just think, the sequels deserves that that extraness. Let's see Leia and Han, maybe a little flashback to see, a young Ben Solo kind of rising up. I mean, Kylo Ren, you just look at him and you're like, God, this dude's awesome. Of course, the first time he took the helmet off, I was like, what? This guy? This is the dude? But I mean, of course he grew on me. I absolutely love Kylo Ren. I think that it would do it that justice and give it a little bit more. And even in Mando season 3, I mean it's also in Mando 1 and 2 and other series as well, but I mean a lot of these shows and even like the Bad Batch are tying into the sequel trilogy. Project Necromancer, Palpatine, with the backup clones, this and that. I mean, obviously it leads to Rey's dad, and ultimately, somehow Palpatine returns, and we are seeing, that somehow. So cool stuff like that. But yeah, 1000%. I just absolutely am a sucker for backstory. And like you said, man, Book of Boba Fett, the first episode, it was 2 in the morning. That was when it was releasing here in Central Standard Time at the time. I was like, man, I am so excited for this episode 1. What's going to happen? I remember telling my dad, like, hey, I think we're finally going to see how Boba gets out the Sarlacc pit. Like, I think Dengar is actually, going to help him out, like in the old legend stories, And no, that definitely was not it. But I was so happy and so thrilled that it happened like in the first 2 minutes. We get to see
Yeah.
right away, him getting out of the Sarlacc pit, seeing him struggle inside the Sarlacc pit. Man, it was just such a different time, and plus the vibes were just on point every single week. Like Book of Boba Fett, man, if the Mandalorian wasn't a thing, this would easily be my favorite live action series.
No, it's definitely like I keep saying, peak Star Wars because of the all the backstory that it provides. Um, but it. With that being said, there's definitely shows out there that I do feel miss that mark as well. And right now, like I said, I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my list, and I feel like everybody's been saying that The Acolyte is one of those shows that misses the mark. And I know a lot of the stuff that happens, but I want to see it for myself, see if they're right or if they're wrong. But it's one of those things where sometimes we get some really awesome Star Wars content, and it's that saying, one step forward, two steps back
Mm.
type of thing sometimes. But with the what was it, the CEO or whatever, Star Wars, or the creative person stepped down,
Oh
and now
yeah.
they're like looking, yeah. So that's something interesting to watch out for as well, because I'm rooting. I haven't even determined who the new person's gonna be yet.
Well, I know Dave Filoni is the CCO, so he's like the chief of creations, operations, I believe. So like pretty much anything that is like script wise will kind of be ran by him, to where he's like, okay, yes, this will work, or it's like, hey, let's tweak this a little bit, just because like this in the lore this doesn't line up, correctly. So,
Yeah.
but the CEO spot should be coming open in the near future.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited about that, because you never really know what somebody new would bring to that role, and what new and exciting stuff we might get. But definitely there's stuff out there that have missed the mark. And I mean, I haven't watched Andor season 2 yet, but I've heard that there's certain episodes in there that are very slow. But I did hear, I haven't watched it yet. Misa Bricks was talking about it in the group chat that after you finish watching, I believe, the last 3 episodes, you definitely need to go back and rewatch Rogue One. That's what he said. I don't know what happens, but I'm excited about that. So, there's always going to be mixed reviews. And like I said, at the end of the day, I'm just rooting for Star Wars. Rooting for
Yes.
them, hoping that we get some awesome quality stuff. And um, one thing that I'm like really excited for, hopefully happens in the next couple years, would be something of them going back and exploring the old Republic. Like,
Yes.
to me, that would be amazing. Um, Played a couple of the old games. I never played them all the way through, so I don't know all the lore and all of that stuff that goes into it. I also never read any Legends books or anything like that. But what really got me into it was Lego. When I got the Darth Malik, and then I started thinking about the some of the figs that I missed out on, like the Darth Revan, and then
Mm.
the Darth Malagas. And then I started like looking into their lore on YouTube. Like, there's some like awesome channels out there that like explore all of that, and that's how I fell in love with it. Like, I fell in love with Darth Revan's story, uh, you know, who he was, and him, being like this super powerful Jedi who then becomes a super powerful Sith Lord, and just exploring that. So that would be something awesome to see in live action, in my opinion. Like, especially like all the like fan stuff made out there that have Keanu Reeves as
Oh yeah,
Darth
yeah,
Revan. Like, that's super dope to me. And hopefully, you never know. With a new person coming into Disney, well, not Disney, Star Wars, that would be something super dope if they chose to explore that.
yeah. They're like, come on in, man. This has just been a long time coming. Let's make it. Let's
Yeah,
put this to paper now. Yeah, dude. I was never one too big into the Old Republic. I mean, when you watch the Acolyte, you'll get little sprinkles of the High Republic. So I mean, you're going back 100 years, before a Phantom Menace. So I mean, some of the suits and just the kind of the style, you're kind of going back a little bit. But yeah, I mean, Revan is so dope. I mean, absolutely love almost every time I go to GameStop, his Black Series mask is still, or the helmet is still sitting right there. It's like no one's picked it up, and I'm really surprised. But at the same time, it's just like I feel like if I was, more enticed into the older public, I feel like I probably would have picked it up by now. But there's still a little bit more for me to go back and read, explore some other YouTube channels, kind of like you said, just to kind of dive deep into that, because that is some rich, like, just overall story in the older public, is seeing all of those characters, like, even going back, like Darth Nihilus. Like, I absolutely love the way he
yeah,
looks. It's kind of like the clown look, but I mean, it's not a clown, but kind of like the face markings,
yeah,
and it's like a skull, like missing like the bottom half. And then also, yeah, you get like Malgus, Bane, um, um, yeah, a lot of those characters to where it's just like they have like almost kind of like these breathing apparatuses, just kind of covering their jaw and like just really cool. I mean, it's sinister in a way.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have my, I guess my sig fig up here.
Yeah.
Um, and so right when this R2D2 set came out last year, when I first got this fig, um, I was like, man, I don't really know too much about him, and I was like, I like the mask, the breathing apparatus thing that he has. I was like, I don't even know what that is. And then like right behind it, he has like his jaws like destroyed. So I like looked into that, and I found like this video on YouTube where the guy was like basically uh, Darth Revan was Darth Malik's at one point in time. He was his Jedi Master. Darth Malik was his Padawan, and then they both end up turning to the dark side. They have like this epic battle, and Revan basically slashes across Malik's jaw, and then ever since that happened, he pretty much puts the breathing apparatus thing on. But I think that story right there is awesome, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's something that would be super dope to see on screen. Now I would personally love it to be live action, but you know, something animated too would be quite awesome to see.
Yeah, almost just seeing it would be like, a nice breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, hey, we've seen helmets cracked, we've seen, characters get cut in half. I mean, it wouldn't be anything new for us to see, a jaw get, dismembered. So, I mean, plus they could make it look really cool in almost any way possible. But I mean, some of those stories being brought back and kind of like a little different iteration to them just to make it, tie in more with the larger Star Wars universe. I mean, who's not going to want to see that? There's so many fans of the Old Republic, and I feel like if there's anything other than like a Vader film, strictly on Darth Vader, I feel like everyone else is just praying for some Old Republic content of any sort. And like I said, I'm not even the biggest into that faction, but I mean, sign me up because I want to explore other timelines than just the Skywalker saga. So I
And I
think it would be
mean,
great.
in the Old Republic, that's when the Mandalorian Wars happen. So that
Yeah,
with the Mandalorian being such a big show, that would be something that would be like super dope to explore, you know? So just
that would be,
something to think about.
yeah, that would be cool too. I mean, you get kind of those little Easter eggs of, Din Djarin showing Grogu like the moon Concordia to Mandalore. He's like, that's where I grew up, kind of giving him some of the backstory. And also seeing Bo Katan and the armor talking about, the Night of a Thousand Tears, seeing Mandalore get destroyed. And also too, you look at that um happening on Mandalore. You understand, Palpatine was just not with the Mandalorians wasn't, for anything in their culture and basically wanted to destroy their planet. You look at those shows like Andor, especially Rogue One, all those planets like Alderaan, Jeddah, Ferrix. I mean, some of those planets, ultimately got destroyed by the Death Star. So I mean, when you see that, you're like, man, Mandalore got lucky, that's still standing. Um, but yeah, I mean, that would be really cool if Din Djarin ended up telling, maybe Grogu, like maybe they're like eating, by a fire or something, very cinematic, and just telling him about the stories he had heard of, the Mandalore Wars and stuff like that, and kind of going back into that older public timeline. And then when you see that flashback, and that takes you into a whole different story. So like now let's bring in some older public content, tied into the Mandalorian in a way. I mean, it's just some of the little thinking, but I have a small YouTube channel. I'm not the one at Disney making any of these scripts, so that's I mean, sometimes you just think about it and just things just start firing away.
No, yeah, I mean, and I wouldn't say, you know, you're just a small YouTube channel because, you know, you never know who's watching out there, but it's definitely storylines that would just add so much more to Star Wars and potentially bring in so much more fans to the actual uh, fandom itself. Just because it's new stuff. stuff that we haven't seen before. I always like thinking about the Old Republic not being, because I'm a big sci-fi guy,
Mm.
um, not being as technologically advanced as like the Star Wars that we see, like
Okay,
in our
yeah.
current universe, and then fighting with more like primitive weapons and stuff. So kind of exploring something where it's I don't want to say it that way, but something like Game of Thrones esque, where they might be barely figuring out lightsabers and they might be dueling with like something crazy like swords, right?
Yeah.
Something like way more primitive than what we see, and that would definitely bring in like I feel a different type of audience, and it's just something cool. Star Wars is an entire universe, and there's just so many little stories that are out there that could be made, and that's one that I will forever be crossing my fingers about exploring the Old Republic.
I think at some point, man, I think they're gonna do it because I mean, Kathleen Kennedy said right now what they're focusing on is the Mandalorian and the Mandoverse, basically, tying in Book of Boba Fett, Mando, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew now, um, all of those things, and then they're going to wrap it up with the Filoni Endgame film, Heir to the Empire, whatever you want to call it. But then it's, like Rey is going to get her potential trilogy. Um, she's gonna for sure have a movie. We're getting the Ryan Reynolds Starfighter film. So I mean, it's all of those little things, and it's like, okay, we're going forward, but like, let's go back again. Just kind of like
Yeah,
the acolyte. We went back in time a little bit. So I mean, you can go back even further. Plus, being the fan of the Mandalorian that I am, I would absolutely kill to see Tar Vizsla in live action or even an animation of some sort. I mean, seeing the first Mandalorian Jedi, seeing two cultures that really, had I mean, they had an all out war against each other. And then plus kind of showing them, uh, or showing Tar Vizsla bounce both sides, like a Mandalorian Jedi. Like, come on. That's what I ultimately think Grogu is going to be the next kin of, is like a Tar Vizsla. So, I mean,
yeah.
I think that would just be so cool.
I mean, when when they give him the armor in that one season, and he's over
Oh,
here doing
yeah.
like backflips and while training, I thought that stuff was hilarious. But it'd be, I think, even funnier to see that with him holding a lightsaber or something crazy like
Yes.
that. So
Yes.
it's definitely some fun stuff out there to explore for the writers.
Yeah. I mean, hey, why not? I mean, it was funny to see him go against, man, Rangar or Rangar? It was Paz Vizsla's son, like, when they were going
Yeah.
up against each other. Um, in like the little like play combat basically, that was insanely crazy. And then it's just like, I remember all the breakdown videos like after that episode, as everyone was just like, oh, the training from Luke has paid off, and it's just like he's doing these goofy little backflips and like hitting with paintball darts. Like, I mean, it's all in fun, it's awesome, but
Yeah, no,
yeah, I get you on that.
that was definitely hilarious. I mean, I never really looked too much deeper into it besides just watching it that one time, but that was some funny stuff that they were doing with all that. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's great stuff. I'm always down for it. But yeah, what are some what is the best animated TV series in your opinion?
Um, well, I mean, to be quite honest with you, because I'm currently on this journey where The Mandalorian was, that first show that got me back into Star Wars as deep as I am. Um, and so I went back and rewatched all of the Clone Wars because I had never finished it as a kid. I remember because it was on Cartoon Network, and then when I was a kid, we moved and we didn't get uh, cable again, so I never like kept up with it. So I recently, I think within the last year or two, went back and rewatched all of Clone Wars.
Mm,
Now I'm on the journey of trying to watch all of Rebels. I'm on season two. I believe I'm like 3 episodes away from finishing that. So because of that, I haven't watched Bad Batch. and everybody raves about it. Everybody, talks about it being one of the best animated shows out there, and I'm very excited to get to it. So, in terms of animated, I would definitely have to say that Clone Wars is probably, the best one, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people would agree.
Yeah.
But I would like to bring up Rebels because a lot of people talk bad about Rebels. They talk about bad about the animation. They talk bad about Ezra, his character, about
Mm.
what's his name, Kanan Jarrus, him not being a good Jedi and being annoying. But I think the story, and I haven't finished it all the way, but the story that Rebels is trying to tell is just as good as some of the stuff that Clone Wars was doing. Now, are there a couple episodes here and there that are like filler and kind of suck? Yeah, but I mean that's every TV show. Doesn't matter if it's Star Wars or if it's Breaking Bad, like we were talking about earlier. There's
Mm.
always going to be fillers in there that are going to suck, and you can't base your entire opinion off of one episode that completely sucked. So I think Rebels is definitely underrated. And that's someone who didn't even grow up on it. I didn't grow up on Rebels. I recently started watching it, and I definitely love it. I love the characters. I love so far the character development of Ezra, of him being, this kid off the street, this what do you call him, a bandit, kid trying to
Yeah.
survive on the streets, stealing, and pretty much getting himself into trouble, making dumb choices, not listening. It's basically Ahsoka. It's basically seeing Ahsoka again, and I was happy with what Ahsoka turned out to be. And since I haven't finished Rebels all the way through yet, I'm excited for what Ezra will become. And that's part of the reason too why I didn't want to get too deep into Ahsoka was I know he's in there. I don't want to ruin it for myself just because so far I love the character.
Yeah.
And so, I have Clone Wars up here, but I definitely will say Rebels is right there. And it for people out there who hate on it, they gotta go back and watch it. I definitely think it's a good animated show, and at the very least, it's a good little background show while you're building Lego or something.
Yeah.
Like it's a really good show, and I'm glad I got into it. I'm glad I'm going through it, and in terms of Bad Batch, can't really talk too much on it, but I know that those characters were introduced in Clone Wars, and I thought that the episodes that they had were awesome little side stuff. And so being able to see them have their own show and follow that along, I'm definitely excited of getting into that. So whenever I get to it, I will definitely have an opinion on that, and I'm sure it'll probably be a positive one.
Yeah, dude. Bad Batch. I can still feel, how it all ended. I was it w- I wouldn't say it was lackluster, it just wasn't what I was expecting. It was one of those shows to where everything really came full circle, and it's just for these defective clones, that weren't like the others, they weren't like Fives, they weren't like Jesse or Rex, Cody. You get to see five different clones work together, but in their own ways. They all bring something to the table. Really, really good series. Yeah, it's up there for me. I will have to, sit with Clone Wars as well. There are so many arcs that I am just a huge fan of. And I mean, I feel like at some point in time, people are going to get tired of me. But the Quinlan Voss and Asajj Ventress arc from Dark Disciple, the novel, those were all supposed to be, it was supposed to be in like an 8 episode arc in the Clone Wars that ended up getting scrapped. And it's just, the Jedi are just almost at a last straw with Dooku, and they look to find someone in the Jedi Order to basically assassinate Count Dooku because it happens to get to that point in the Clone Wars. So they of course send out Quinlan Voss, and he can't do it alone. It's kind of just like when Yoda was telling Obi-Wan that you can't go against the Emperor. He's way too powerful for you. It was kind of one of those things. So he's like, you will have someone else, and Asajj Ventress is the other one because they just Dooku basically just threw her, out to the trash, and she wants to get revenge. So them two work together, and they end up falling in love. It's kind of like one of those romance stories, and to basically help Quinlan get that upper hand on Count Dooku. He's not going to be able to do it as a Jedi. So she ends up helping him turn to the dark side to enhance that power to go against Dooku, just to kind of, give him the one up. And and it's all kind of like secretive. So Quinlan Voss ends up, being dark side, but ends up getting under Count Dooku's wing, and Count Dooku's trying to get him to be like his main assassin. So now he just has this turned Jedi, and Asajj Ventress tries to pull him back. The dark side just gave him that lust and power, um, and then Dooku ends up killing Asajj Ventress, and that her death turns Quinlan Voss back to the light side. And I mean, it's just a impeccable story, and it's just like, damn, man, we could have had that. But I mean, not to spoil anything, for those out there, or if you haven't watched the GG, Tales of the Underworld, they give a really good kind of pick me up to that arc, and it's just like, oh, okay, so maybe one day we could, get these episodes or get a different iteration of it in either a flashback or of some sort. But it's like, dude, like, I mean, the Clone Wars gives us these arcs, and like for me personally, like I absolutely love Quinlan Voss, one of my top three Jedi, easy. And it's just like, man, it's right there. Like, give me more. But that's what the Clone Wars does. Is they, like, Dave and George, like, cooked, like absolutely cooked on arcs that made so much sense and would like last. They still are aged so well for today. And I mean, it's been years. I mean, Clone Wars season 7, like, looks amazing, feels amazing, and like just how everything ends, like, dude, you just can't beat that.
No, I definitely feel like they need to do something like a Clone Wars fan edition, you know,
Mm,
where they go back in and leave the story as is, but add certain stuff like that, right? Where I don't know if they would do it where it fits in into older lore, or if it would be something where, okay, these are like interesting stories, side stories that we could explore, that fans want, right?
right.
So that like a fan edition Clone Wars would be something really dope to see in the future.
That would hit. I mean, shit, even at a Star Wars Celebration, they dropped some like unrendered video footage of Anakin chasing young Boba Fett, and he finally gets his Django's armor and is wearing it for like the first time, and we get to see that like during the Clone Wars. And he Anakin's chasing Boba through Coruscant. It's kind of like Attack of the Clones all over again, when Anakin's chasing Zam Wessel, falling in the sky and all that stuff, like
Yeah,
really, really intense. But obviously there's no sound with it. It's just like the kind of like a stop motion little animation, and it's like, dude, how cool would that be? And just knowing, like, later down the road, um, Vader and Boba Fett are going to be, working together, for the
yeah,
Empire. Like, just crazy to see them, going against each other, and then it just comes full circle, man. Once again, the art of Star Wars.
yeah. No, like I said, a fan edition Clone Wars where they finish some of that stuff up, and release it. That would be super super cool to see. I know that like I'm a big, and the reason I bring that up is because I'm a big Office fan.
Oh yeah,
And they did something like that on Peacock, where they did like a super fan edition or something like that, where like all the deleted scenes, all the stuff that they weren't able to include in the original when it was airing on live TV, they just put it into the series on Peacock, so you're able to go back and see like deleted scenes and stuff that never got shown. So I feel like Clone Wars definitely has a lot of stuff out there that maybe the writers were like, no, it is too much, let's scrap it, and they have the file saved, but it's just not finished. So
right.
it'd be really cool to for them to go back, finish some of that stuff, and just release like these super fan episodes. So
That would be dope.
that'd be dope. You never know.
Hey, yeah, it's never too late. We can always hope and pray, but yeah, dude. I mean, it's just some of the storytelling is just amazing. One thing I will say from um, Clone Wars right here. I mean, you know me, I'm a huge Funko guy, but this Obi-Wan Kenobi right here in the Brandolorian armor, absolutely
Wow.
love this banger. Entertainment Earth exclusive
Dude.
too, so I mean it helps just in the same right there. But yeah, I remember picking this up and I was like, "Oh yeah, dude, Obi-Wan with the Maul armor. Yeah, love to see
Yeah,
that."
no, that armor does it for me. I'm not a big, Funko collector. I got like two Funkos, but that armor is super dope. I
Yeah.
just, as much as I would love collecting Funko, I feel like every time I go to Target or somewhere that has it, like Walmart, it's all slim pickings because there's so
Yeah.
many people out there that hunt for that stuff. So they only leave behind the stuff that's just not as cool as that.
Yeah, and it gets sad too. I mean, like Walmart for the longest time, like it would just be it would be like 10 Rivas and like 10 Fennec Shans, and like being the Book of Boba Fett fan I am, I'm like, guys, take 5 of Fennec. You know, like Fennec's awesome.
Yeah,
But I mean, I remember, I mean, she has two versions, and I remember picking both of those up day one when they released. So I mean, I had to have Fennec. Riva, I got a couple for super cheap. Like I think the most I've spent on a Riva, and I have two of them, was the $3. So I mean, there's always steals with them, but yeah, like there's people who really go out and like wait, and they know when the release day is, especially at like Target. And I mean, yeah, it's very slim pickings sometimes, but I mean, online is definitely the way to go. But at the same time, being a Lego guy too, it's so easy to, get a couple Funko because I mean, it's like a fourth of the price.
yeah.
So it's just easier to pick up. But yeah, it's a bad habit, man.
No, yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm not a big Funko guy, but like I make it a routine. Every time I go to Target, every time I go to Walmart, two things I gotta check is the Lego aisle and then the collectible aisle. And
Mm,
obviously, the Funkos are in the collectible aisle, so I go through them, I look at all the shelves. Now I don't go digging. I pretty much look at what is like in the front row. I might pull one and see what's behind it. Trying to find something cool.
yeah,
But so far, uh, I haven't. There's nothing off the top of my head where I was like, man, I gotta grab this Funko. Like, there's some cool ones out there. Like, I think some of the Disney ones, like, there's some new Stitch ones because they got that new movie coming out. Those are pretty cool. But I wouldn't grab that for myself. I might grab that, to give away to my wife or something
yeah.
like that. But there's a lot of cool Funkos out there, and you say you order it online, but to me, part of the fun of Lego and part of the fun of collecting is the hunt, is
Yeah,
being able to go out there and finding it. Because when you finally find something that you've been looking for like so long, like that feeling is insane. Like a good example of it is I collect the CMFs, the collectible minifigs
mm.
that they release every 3 4 months. And so when the Beastmaster came out, man, I'm not even kidding. I would literally go to a Target that's like 30 minutes away from my house just because I was trying to find one Beastmaster. And literally for maybe 3 4 weeks straight, every weekend I'd go to different Walmart. I'd go to like a Walgreens or CVS because they also sell the CMFs, and I'd just be on the hunt. And when I finally found it, and I didn't even find it I live in Georgia. I didn't even find it in my state. This is how like obsessed I was with it. We were on vacation in Texas, and I was like, let's go to Walmart. We got nothing else to do. Let's go to Walmart. Let's go hunt for some Lego deals and go hunt for some CMFs. And dude, I found it at a Walmart in Texas. And that feeling of just finally finding something that you've been
Finally.
looking for is just insane. Now, granted, I could have probably bought one for like 10, $12 on Bricklink or on Whatnot or from, a buddy, but it's just not the same to me. And I feel like as a collector, part of the joy of collecting is the hunt. And so that's why, as much as I've seen some really cool Funkos out there. I've seen some really cool Funkos on Amazon. I will never buy it because to me, as a collector, it's not the same.
Yeah, no, I get that 1000%. I mean, the when I got my Chase Cobb Vanth, like he doesn't have the helmet on, he's just looking nice and clean. But I mean, when I found that, I remember like the world stopped for a second because I had been looking for it for like months and months. But also too, it's just so different in my town because like the main spots you get for Funkos like Walmart, Target, and even Walmart's terrible now. So basically Target and GameStop, and I've been to many GameStops all over the country, and I think the one in my town is really superior to the others. Um, and usually everything we get in is just super stocked up. So I'm always going in there, and usually anymore there hasn't been too many chase pops, different variants. But I mean there are some like the retro series, art series, stuff like that. That finally hit the shelves, and usually they drop like one or two, so you got to go in and grab it before anyone else does. So yeah, the Funko hunt is always good. I will say, usually with Lego in the last like year or so, other than the sale barge, I've kind of gotten most Legos either as gifts, for Christmas, or I've been really just striking deals. Walmart, I feel like goes on a huge like lot deal where it's just like, okay, you can get this set, you can get this diorama set, super cheap. Some of the helmets were like $20 to $25 off. Pick up those. I remember getting Cody and Rex, both for like $80 when they both retailed at 70 when they first came out. So I mean that's a huge steal. And then yeah, of course, just recently picked this up on Lego.com. Got this for $34, and this retailed at 44.99. So I mean, can't wait to build this. Finally got my first Anakin Skywalker minifig. I'm so excited to add this bad boy to the collection. Plus, I mean, the Starfighter looks legit too. So
Yeah, no, that's a dope set. I have it in my collection. I haven't built mine yet. And I love the set. I love the minifigs in it, but it's one of those sets that was just way too overpriced, in my opinion. For the piece count, like it just
yeah, two
like I said,
ninety.
yeah, um for the piece count, it wasn't worth it. So I finally got it during the May the First promos because I think it went on that 15% or 20% off sale on Lego.com, and I was like, might as well grab it, get some VIP points with it, and add it to the collection. But definitely one of those sets that, in my opinion, was way too overpriced.
Yeah,
But has some good figs, so I will say that. And it does have that new canopy piece in there for the that they made. So I don't know
yes.
if you knew that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's also pretty cool. And I guess that justifies Lego for making it a $45 set when it should have been $30 at most.
Yeah, I know. It's like, can they not learn from like Obi-Wan Starfighter from episode 2? Like that was probably like the best. Yeah, this was probably the best set for the best price when it first came out, and I feel like everyone got this set. Um I mean, this is just a classic example of great price for a great set.
Great price for a great set, and then for the last year, it's been on sale routinely for $23. So
Yeah.
it's like, how much better can you get than that? Like, it's an awesome set. It was already pretty well priced at $30, and then to be able to find them now all the time, I'm talking about like Target, Walmart, Amazon, wherever for $23, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
Um, so that's I have that set in my collection. Can't wait to and I guess I'll show it off now because I got the Slave One during the May the first, and I can't wait to pair uh Obi-Wan Starfighter with this. Now, for those of y'all watching, I've been doing about a bag a day, so that's why it's kind of still in construction. But
Skeleton.
this is an awesome set. Like I've built a couple UCS sets now, and for me, this takes the cake all day. Like the detail, the building techniques, And I mean, I know a lot of people out there who are Lego fans, they don't like Technic, so this does use quite a bit of Technic, but I feel like the end product is worth it.
Mm.
And I mean, I'm gonna show off the ramp, and I know everybody's probably seen it a million times already, but just the way that they designed this is just amazing to me.
Oh,
Like
dude.
it works so smoothly, and to be able to fit all of that into like this like cramped little space using Technic is awesome. And this for me will go down as a, for now, because we don't know what's going to come out in the future, but top five Lego set of all time. So it's just amazing, dude. And besides that, and you know, we're talking about Lego now because that's more of my bread and butter. Dude, the Django minifig, like you you can't get any better. Now, you know, I've seen a couple people mention it. The only complaint I will even have is they should have, you know how in the Obi-Wan Starfighter they have his head mouth like headset piece
Oh
thing,
yeah.
because you can't put him in. Well, you can put him in there, I believe, with his helmet, but obviously it makes more sense putting him in there without his helmet and just
Yeah.
his face. They should have added that piece. Just they could have done it. Uh, I guess that was just Lego being lazy, or maybe they just didn't think about it. But that would have made this minifig like, I give it a 9.5, but adding that, just that little printing, would have been a 10. And then
Man.
on top of that, just the new rangefinder, which I mean, by the way, is just awesome. And I did that photo of you, you know, a couple weeks ago now, with putting it on Bo-Katan, and it just makes figs look so clean now. Um, and you know, talking a little bit more about Save On, that was my first time I've ever gone to a Lego drop in person. I've always done it online, but this year it was a little bit of FOMO. I was like,
Yeah.
I can't miss out. I can't miss out on the GWP. And dude, I haven't I got two. So this one's my sealed one. I haven't built the other one yet because I want to pair all of it together on my shelf once I'm done. But dude, like the cadets with the arm printing, dual molded legs.
They look so
Now
good.
it's amazing. Now the one thing I do wish is they all would have gotten like a different facial expression. You know,
Mm.
like I get they're clones, but make one of them
Yeah.
smiling, make one of them like mad or angry, like, you know, whatever. Uh, but that was the first time I ever went in person, and it was definitely a fun experience. I know you say you don't have a Lego store near you that you could
Yeah.
go to, but if you ever get the opportunity to go for a drop, it's worth it. I met a lot of cool people that day, talked about Lego, and I feel like that's what the community is about. Now, the way my store did it, unfortunately, was kind of bad. I was the third person in line, and other stores they were like handing out like little cards, like if you're getting a Django, here you go. Like everybody in line was getting the Django set, gets one of these cards. That way, you just go to the cashier and you request your set. My store pretty much opened the doors and it was a free for all. So like
Oh
people who were like
no.
at the back of the line like literally sprinted to the front, and like, you know, I'd been waiting there for maybe 2 3 hours, and so it kind of sucked, but it felt like a Black Friday. Like that's the best way of putting
No.
it. Like a Black Friday, people running in, grabbing sets, and I ended up buying the UCS Venator because it was on uh, 4x points, VIP points, and I wasn't planning on getting it till next year because it retires next year. But man, I see people going in there and they're just grabbing that thing off the shelf. As once
That's
I got
crazy.
FOMO, I was like, so I ended up picking it up. I got four x VIP points on that, which was about like 160 cash back for more Lego.
Mm.
But it was a fun day, and I can't recommend it enough. If you're a big Lego Star Wars fan, you got to go for a drop at least once because it's fun. You meet some interesting people out there, and you know it. It's something that you don't do too often, especially if you're, our age, where you grew up with Black Fridays and actually waiting outside the lines. It's a little bit of that vibe. So it was fun. It was fun. I can't recommend that enough.
Damn, man. Yeah, that does sound like a good time. Yeah, I mean, the closest one is about 2.5 hours away. I mean, it's definitely doable. I mean, get out of town, hop in a skip over there, check out a drop. But then also, or especially now, it's like, well, what's going to come out to where I'm like, all right, I got to go. Um, I'm really hoping that we get another good set next year. But man, I that Django Slave one, I gotta get it, man. It's just it's that is my favorite ship in all of Star Wars, the Slave One. I do love Boba's colorway the best. But I mean Django's, it's literally clean. It's like a clean, copy of the fire spray gunship. So I mean, um, and plus like
And
the lore that goes behind it of how Django ended up getting it. He stole it, and just knowing he, kind of gave it his own little twist to it, fresh paint, and plus, dude, the rangefinder. I remember when we collabed on the Bo-Katan picture, I was like, dude, that literally makes everything on her, like from her armor to the detail to just simply her helmet, the rangefinder makes everything pop so much better on a fig. So like I somehow some way, I don't know if Lego is eventually going to have all of the pieces on their website, but like I have to order like 50 of those rangefinders because like all of my Mandos, like the warriors that I have, all of the Boba Fett's, like they have to have this new rangefinder because it just looks so much better.
yeah, no, I'm excited for the future of Lego, and I'm excited for any new clone sets that might be coming out, or any Mandalorian sets that might be coming out, because I really want to see if they're going to include the new rangefinder or not. Like, I don't believe this was a one-off, but at the same time, when they include the rangefinders, they typically put them in this like little baggie, right?
Yeah.
And for this set, they didn't do that. They were literally mixed in with all the other pieces, and they only included three. And as far as I know, I think everybody only got three. But we've been so used to getting those little baggies with the rangefinders and the visor,
Yeah.
and if I've never counted it, but it's at least five of each. So they'll probably be getting away from that in the future. So I don't know if we'll ever be in a world where we're going to be having extra rangefinders, you know, unless it's you're getting one Django, right, or one clone or one Mando. So it's interesting to see. I'm excited to see what Lego's going to do. But it definitely elevates the minifigs,
Yeah.
and something that I didn't think. I personally thought that the old rangefinder was really good.
Yeah, it is.
And I didn't think it could get any better. Now the old one looks kind of wonky.
Yeah, I know. I mean, especially after, everyone who has a set already, I kind of look at my figs. I'm like, oh no, take that off.
Yeah,
It's just a very, very unique touch. But I also too with May the 4th, I went ahead and picked up. I mean, I'm a huge Brickheads guy. I gotta keep adding to them. Gotta pick up the Revenge of the Sith line because then I'll have every Lego Brickhead that is released since 2020, 2021. So I gotta keep strong with that. But I got the Red 5 Luke, probably one of my favorite versions of Luke when he's in his pilot outfit. Outside of him in the final duel against Vader in Episode 6, love that version of Luke. But this right here, absolutely perfect. I think this is a cool fig. And what's really cool though is with the brickhead box, and this is also a singular brickhead, the box shape is different. It's more thinned out and widened. Usually it's just kind of like a cylinder, um, or not cylinder, but kind of like a more rectangular box. So the
yeah,
new box on here is pretty cool, pretty unique.
yeah. I remember hearing that they were changing the box design. I I don't remember my last singular one, because the last singular one that I bought was the Cody. I don't
Oh yeah.
remember what the box looks like because I threw it away. But I remember hearing some people were complaining about the new box. Don't
Mm.
know why. Uh, but it I mean, brickheads are fun. I compare them to Funkos
Yeah,
because they're small. You're able to collect a lot of them, and they display pretty well.
very well.
So they're fun. I recently started getting into brickheads. I wasn't something that I was that very interested in, but last year I got the because I'm a huge Episode One fan. Like that's probably the movie I had that on VHS tape. So that
Yes.
movie was like on replay all the time. And I remember our on our VHS VHR whatever it was called. I can't even remember what it was called. Like the rewind thing didn't work, so you had to rewind it with your finger. So I was constantly rewatching that movie. So last year when those briquettes came out, uh, man, that's what got me back into what got me into brickheads. Like that Queen Amidala.
Oh, it looks so good. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it
was a
looks so
good
good.
ass pack. Got
Yeah,
Panaka, young Anakin, Jar Jar, Padme, and then Qui-Gon.
yeah.
Yeah.
And funny story, I bought it for myself, I think during Black Friday because it was like 30 bucks, 32 bucks during that time. And then I bought it for myself. That was like a gift for me for Christmas. And then on Christmas Day, I'm opening gifts and my wife bought it as well. So I have two. Um, I'm waiting for the price to go up a little bit and then I'll probably sell it. But it was definitely a fun one, and I'm probably gonna wait on the new ones for Black Friday as well. Hopefully, trend continues and they go back down to I think it was like about 32, 34. Pick
Yeah.
them up on sale.
Yeah, that's a good deal too. $18 to $20 off. Yeah, for 5 of them. And God, you get the Padme, Anakin. You can flip his eyes to dark side. Palpatine, Mace Windu, and Grievous. The Grievous might be
Grievous,
that might be the best brickhead that is out. Um, the I will say the um the Darth Maul is really true to what he looks like. Absolutely love building that one. But the Luke from Return of the Jedi, the 5 pack, that was a really good one. I hope they continue to do the 5 packs for each of the movies because I mean
yeah.
it's endless possibilities once you start going down all the movies. So, and I would, especially with Andor wrapping up, that would be really cool next year for the 10th anniversary of Rogue One, is if we get a 5 pack there. Because I mean, Jyn Erso, K2SO, Andor, maybe Krennic, and then I mean, we already got a Vader, so maybe they could do,
Saw Gerrera.
yeah, Saw Gerrera. That'd be pretty dope. Yeah, dude, that'd be yeah. Come on, Lego, if you're listening, that's easy. It's an easy setup. But yeah, man, I love the brickheads. Um, but there's also one Funko I wanted to show you was this Target exclusive Kylo Ren. And this is the Supreme Leader version, and I mean, you can kind of see in the background that the wind or the cape is kind of like wind blown. So
Oh yeah,
yeah, I absolutely
dude, and
love
the
this.
texture on that cape too. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, this one was pretty cool. This came out, I believe, right around Christmas time, and I remember I told my wife, I was like, "Hey," or like she actually told me that she's like, "I'm short a gift. It's a small gift, like just within the price range," and I was just like, "Okay, you can count it as a surprise or not, but that Kylo Ren at Target, just pick that up, throw that in the bag, and that would be perfect." And she's like, "Well, you already know what it is, so I can't do that." And her mom ended up getting it for me for my birthday, so it all worked out. But this one is one of my favorites, dude, because I the moment I saw it, I was just like, I need that right away. Plus, it's like a new there's a new sticker concept with Funko, and you can like scan the QR code, and you basically it just uploads it to like your digital collection. So
Okay.
I haven't dabbled into that yet. I mean, I probably won't, but it's a pretty good one, physical.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. I know I was at the mall this past weekend, and I went to, you know how they have like those collectible stores. It was like a Funko collectible and like
Mm.
some other stuff in there. And I found like this fives, and the box art. I was so close to getting it, but I was like, there's no price tag on it. I'm not gonna look it up. I was like, no, if there was a price tag on it, I would have bought it if it was reasonable. But the box art on it, and then the fives itself was pretty cool. Um, retrospectively, I probably should have asked like, "Hey, how much is it?" And I probably would have grabbed it. But I was also scared of it being like a $40, $50 Funko because I don't want to get too deep into it. But it's
Yeah.
definitely some cool stuff that they do.
Yeah, that is actually the first and only fives that Funko has, and it's the retro series too. So it kind of
Yeah,
has like the little comic book look to him. But yeah, that one I believe retailed at 14.99 US. So I mean, especially if it's like kind of like a secondhand, like collectible store. Like I mean, sometimes like the one at my mall, I mean, they had a Fennec Shand, even that we were talking earlier that they were selling for 19.99. It's like, whoa, what are we doing here? Because I'll just go to Walmart and get it for $6 at the time. So I mean, yeah, some of those collectible stores they kind of run up the price a little bit on you.
yeah. Like I mean, I even saw that myself because my mall has a Macy's and has a Toys R Us in it, like a little small section. And they had some Funkos on clearance, and they had a what was it called, Black Adam.
Oh
I
yeah,
think they had like this big one, and it was on clearance for $4. I was like, huh, that's pretty cool. That one I looked up, I was like, I might because they had like three of them. I was like, I might pick that up and put it on eBay, see if I make any money. Only sells for like 8, $10. I was like,
uh,
okay, that's not worth it. Like no profit. Um, but then I go to that store and they have the exact same one selling for like $30. And I'm like, dude. And
it's like,
that
what are
and
y'all doing?
I saw that first before I saw the fives, and that's really what made me not want to even research or ask because I'm like, about to pay an arm and a leg for this fives, even though it's cool, but
Yeah,
I already pay too much for Lego.
yeah, especially when you're in too deep with Lego Funko. It's just like, all right, I could have, put that $30 aside and got Ahsoka's Jedi Starfighter. So
Yeah.
stuff like that. Was there anything else you wanted to show off in the collection?
Um. So let's see, because I got some stuff back here. I'll show off a couple things. So I think first things first. Or, I'll probably leave that for last because I think that's really cool. Um, have a Darth Malagus.
Ooh,
Okay, so this is about give or take. Some people pay a little bit more, price it a little bit more. $200. Okay. Story on this. I paid, I believe, $60. Okay, and this was a couple
wow.
months ago. This wasn't, years ago. Um, Pretty much shout out to the brick store over here in Georgia that's ran by Georgia Auctions on whatnot. I showed up with a bunch of GWPs that I didn't really care for. I think it was like the Christmas Train that came out last year, and then the record player.
Mm.
Didn't really care for them, but I had about two of each. Forgot how much they offered me for it, but it brought the price down on that all the way to like $60. And on top of that, they had like a 10% or 15% discount on all their minifigs that day. And I picked it up, dude. But I mean, I obviously missed out on this when I was a kid. This set came out back in like 2012, 2011. Can't remember.
Wow.
Um, but finally having that in my collection and having the Darth Malik, dude. And I have a custom I forget how to pronounce his name. Darth Nithilis or however you say it.
Oh
Made
yeah.
Yeah, made by BrickLove. That so I got those three. I'm just missing my Revan, and that
Mm.
one is loading. That's like a dream
Complete.
minifig, but I plan on buying two. And just because, like I said, I'm a collector, I plan on buying a sealed poly bag and then a an open one. So that way I can have the sealed one and then I can have one that's open and complete pretty much my Old Republic Sith collection.
Hell
So
yeah.
got that for $60, dude. Shout out to the brick store over here in Georgia. Um, then the next thing, I'm a big Batman fan. Uh, if you couldn't tell, that's the Batman art that came out last year. And I just wanted to show off these figs because these figs, I believe they're all like worth $20 individually.
Wow.
Yeah. Like that Joker is amazing. Which Mark Hamill is the voice of this Joker because this is
Oh,
from
okay.
the animated series from the 90s, which I grew up on it. I am a sucker for Batman. This was probably like my favorite animated show from when I was a kid. And so when Lego came out with that set last year, they came out with it around April, May, June. I can't remember. I was like, I gotta have it. I gotta have it. And the figs that it comes with, the all the Easter eggs that are in the build, like you're able to take individual pieces of the building off. And there's like Easter eggs behind them, like Catwoman Easter eggs, the Penguin Easter eggs,
Damn.
uh, like Two-Face Easter eggs, the Riddler. Like, dude, it's just packed with Easter eggs. And I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but that set is retiring this year. So it retires at the end of the year. It's a $300 set, but if you love Batman, man, you got to get it. The minifigs alone, like I'm pretty sure all together they probably go for about 120.
That's
So if you were to sell
crazy.
all of them, and so if you don't care about minifigs, I mean, just sell off the minifigs. You get pretty much 1/3 of your money back. Um, and then I'll show off this guy. So if you can't tell, that's an M&R tile. Um, so I've been watching M&R on and off throughout the years. He's probably one of the biggest Lego YouTubers out here. And so I remember how he kept talking about Jedi Bob in some of his old videos, and how I think there's a time when people were voting on like the gunship or versus some other drop, some other the next UCS, and he kept talking about they need to include Jedi Bob in I think it was a gunship, and kept talking about it, and I just got into like that Jedi Bob lore, started like learning more about it, and then this past February at ATL BrickCon, I finally got to meet him, and I was fangirling hard. I'm not gonna lie, because I mean I've been watching this guy for like forever, and I knew he was gonna be there, so I was like, I know he's gonna be there. What can I bring? Now, retrospectively, I should have taken a Jedi Bob Starfighter set and had him sign that. But I was like, you know what? Screw that. Let me take the actual minifig, and, you know, sorry about the glare, but getting him to
Oh,
sign that,
yeah.
dude.
That's dope.
Now the screen doesn't do it any justice, but assigned M&R Jedi Bob when he's been like the biggest Jedi Bob like advocate out there. Like I don't think there's anybody on YouTube or Instagram or anywhere who pretty much fought to get a Jedi Bob. And having him sign it like that, like I was shaking. I'm not even gonna lie, I was shaking. And this is something that I'm gonna have in my collection forever. Never intend on selling it.
That's
Um,
dope.
and then next thing, I know I got a couple things up here. Is the BD1, dude? Like
I missed out on picking that up. I didn't play the game until like after the that set retired. So I was like, damn, I didn't know what I was missing.
now Jedi Fallen Order. That game, the ending, the story, um, some of the puzzles that you got to solve in the game to like get through like the different stages.
Yeah.
Um, like the fighting, like the lightsaber fighting in it. Uh, the way you level up your skills to like learn different um, like moves, like using the force, um, being able to go to Kashyyyk, Dathomir, dude, that game. And
Yeah.
I recently I haven't played the second one, but it was on sale, so for like $12 during like that May the 4th weekend. So I picked it up, and another summer thing I got to do, but can't wait to dive into that. But that BD1, I picked it up on Facebook Marketplace. for $60.
Oh, that's a
So that
steal.
and it was sealed and everything. So shout out Facebook Marketplace, man, because I'm on there pretty much every day. Even if I don't got the money to buy something, I'm constantly on there. Like, okay, like let me scroll through, let me see what people are selling. Um, so it like that to me like means a lot because that game was amazing
It
and just
hits.
having something from a video game because Star Wars itself, like the shows, the movies, they all make you feel some type of way, especially like the prequels for me because I grew up on that and they're special. But also when you fall in love with like certain video games, having stuff like that is just amazing. And now like the last thing I want to show on here, and not that many people know about it. And I think maybe you saw it. I did a live a couple weeks back, and I showed it off. And I'm gonna show it off again on here. Is a signed by
Oh,
all the
yes.
Cantina members. So if you don't know who we are, we have a Instagram page where we all collab, we all help each other out, and so I believe Commander Broski, couple months back, uh, decided to start doing he called it the Wandering Tuscan Raider, and so he mailed it over to the Brickley Bugle. He signed it. Brickley Bugle had it for a couple weeks. Then he mailed it over to me. I signed it, and I'm probably gonna be having a whatnot show in the next couple weeks. Sell off some excess of my collection, and I'll probably send it off to one of them because we're constantly buying off each other as well.
That's
But
dope.
you know, that like this little mini collectible thing, it's awesome to have and something that at we're all holding it at a certain time. Right now, I have it. It's in my collection. I have like this glass display case, so I have it in there, protected from dust, protected from all the elements, and I'm gonna be excited once everybody in the Cantina group gets this signed. Broski's probably gonna be the one to keep it, but it's I don't know how long and I'll be doing Instagram. Obviously, I want to keep doing it and I want to keep growing, but probably there's gonna come a point in time where um, maybe one of us stops doing it, one of us retires, I guess, quote unquote retires, um, and so to for one of us to like hold on to that is gonna be pretty cool, you know.
Yeah. Thinking
But
about how that goes forward is really, really cool. And that, yeah, and
uh,
the aspect of all of you guys holding it and being like, ah, it's in my possession. Like that's what's really cool.
yeah, what had really sucked though is when the Brickley Bugle had mailed it to me, it got lost in the mail.
Oh,
Like it said, because it got mailed through USPS. It was like it's been delivered to your mailbox, and I was like, yo, there's nothing in here. And I live in an apartment complex, and we went down to the mailroom, nothing in there. I'm like, crap, man. They either somebody stole it because it was like a small little package. They probably thought it was something valuable. Who knows? Or it got lost. And so I'm over here going back and forth with the Brickley Bugle, like, hey, man, I'm like, I feel so bad because it's not of our faults, but I kind of
right.
feel a little bit more at fault here because it was like coming to me, even though I can't control anything about it. But I ended up calling USPS. They like passed me on to like the area manager, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna talk to the driver who works that route. And then probably like I don't know, 3, 4 days later, like he calls me up. He's like, hey, we found the package. Should be getting delivered. Let me know if it's in your mailbox. And I mean, oof, pretty
Damn.
much.
Did they end up finding out what happened?
No, I mean when I got the package, it had like new stickers on there, so I'm assuming that maybe the barcode got like scratched off on something. Who knows? But uh, I would have been heartbroken if that would have gotten lost
Uh
on its way to me. But it's definitely a really cool collectible. I mean, you never know. I love doing the Instagram stuff. I love snapping photos. Um, but you never know how far it will take you one day. Maybe one day we're all like Lego affiliates or something. You never know, and it'll be something special.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's cool. It's cool that Commander Broski started doing that. Hopefully, we get another one going in the future. That way, each of us have something like that to hold on to. Because, like I said, I for the meantime, I'm gonna keep going, see how far I get. But maybe there's going to come a point in time where maybe one of us has a kid or something in our life, right, where we're not able to do Instagram as much as we used to, um, and it'll be something to hold on to, and like a memory of those times, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the coolest part about it.
Yeah, that's cool. And it's got a message and it's got a story with it. So it's very meaningful. That's really cool. I always love hearing stuff like that. I and then plus it's just what you guys are doing with it too. It's like you've never like seen that happen anywhere else, like where especially with how spread out everyone is. It's cool to know that, that figure has seen different states. It's seen obviously different drivers in a mail truck. It's seen different hands to a sharpie to the bag. So it's really cool, man.
Yeah, no, it's cool, and like I said, I hope that maybe the next one I'll get another one going.
Yeah,
Next time I do a whatnot show, start another one, and then go from there. Um, but like I said, I definitely owe a lot of thanks to the Brickley Bugle because without him, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Um, and it's cool to see how far, you know, in terms of taking photos and editing that I've been able to get in the last year. Because I started my account back in, I believe, June 4th of 2024. And I started more of okay, I got a bunch of Lego figs. They're all on display. Like, what else can I do besides just having them in a display case? Like they're just sitting there. Eventually, I'll probably just forget about them and stop collecting. Um, and then I remember I met the Brickley Bugle on Whatnot on one of his streams where he was selling like some crappy $5 figs, and I was like, oh, this guy's pretty cool, and he's got some stuff on here that's pretty cheap, and I don't have in my collection. And then from there, I bought a lot from him, and I was like, yo, I've gotten a lot of stuff from you. Like, some of this stuff is pretty cool. Some of this stuff I'll probably hold on, sell off in the future. And I was like, what do you think I should do? And he was like, I don't know, man. Maybe take photos of them like I do, because I had already started doing it, and then that's pretty much where I got started on my stuff. And my stuff in the very beginning, my photos, I remember telling my wife, like, does this look cool? She's like, yeah, yeah, being supportive. Now looking back at it, I'm like, why were you lying to me? Like, some of this stuff is like awful. But I taught myself how to edit, how to use Photoshop, all of that cool stuff. And it's definitely, uh, you know, really cool to see how far you can come in such a short amount of time. I'm about to hit 2,000 followers, and that's all been through like natural, like progression. Because I know a lot of people out there who are in that Instagram Lego community will do like a lot of like following a lot of people at once to pretty much try and get their followers up. For
right,
me, I did that in the very beginning, when I was at like 200, 300, 400 followers because I was like I'm trying to get out there. But now it's been more like natural growth where people are just naturally finding my page and not naturally following me. So, um, could I have gotten to 2,000 followers a lot quicker? Yeah, but at the same time, it's cool to see how many people have gone out of their own way to just give me a follow instead of me going out there and like follow, 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 right? So it's cool. Um, I I don't want to spoil too much, but with the Berkeley Bugle almost hitting that 10K benchmark, we got some really cool stuff planned for the future. I'll let him announce what that is, once he gets there. But there's a lot of cool stuff in the works that we're doing. Obviously, Misa Bricks and the Brickley Bugle design stuff for Brick Love, which a lot of their figs are really cool. I mean, I think I got one right here right now. Um, this guy from I haven't even watched the show, but because Brickley made it, I was like, let me get the fig. And it's a cool fig, and I'll probably start watching the show at some point. So supporting the boys, uh, and for y'all watching, make sure to go follow all of them because they do a lot of good stuff for the community. And I believe we probably have one of the biggest Lego Instagram group chats out there with like all different types of creators on there. So it's very cool what we do, and it's excited about what comes out of it, because right now, uh, like we're small, but at the same time we're kind of big, and I'm not saying that to be like full of myself or be cocky or anything,
How
but
dare you?
yeah, but you never know. You never know what can happen in the future, and it's very interesting to see where it's all gonna go.
Right. Yeah. And then to everyone watching, I can back that. The Cantina Chaos, absolute, you know, Brothers of Destruction. I always love calling you guys that just because of that post you had a while back. I mean, it's just hilarious stuff. And like you guys are all cool. You guys are all fans, of Lego. It seems like everyone's spread through the Star Wars, the Marvel, other TV shows, anime, cool stuff like that. And I mean, it's cool. And I feel like I have a cool relationship with like each one of you. I mean, like, shout out to Brickley. Like he was like the first one that followed me like out of the bunch, and I was just like, oh yeah, like this is like cool. I've never seen anyone like take pictures of their like Lego minifigs and like make scenes out of it. So I was like, man, that'd be cool to like do that with like Funko and Lego as well. So then it kind of trickled down to like Misa and then Broski, you, and then Commander J, and it's just like, man, these dudes are cool. So yeah, everyone who's watching, make sure you go follow them on Instagram, and then some of them are on YouTube as well. So I'll have all that linked down in the description. But I mean, yeah, awesome guys. The group chat is massive. Like I think there's like one with like 80 people in it, maybe, or it's like 60 to 80. And then of course there's another side one that's a lot smaller for funnier things. But I mean, the big one is, I mean, it's insane like how many people there are, mocks every day, memes, just what everyone's building. Like that's just a cool thing, to just be a part of. So, I mean, I'm very glad that I'm a part of this because like I have friends in person that are, into Lego, but they're not like as nerdy as I am with it. So it's just like, I get to talk to all of you guys about Lego or Star Wars or pretty much anything, and it's just like like we all get it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, awesome community.
Yeah, no, I mean, uh, I'm glad that you're a part of it. I feel like you bring something different to the table that uh, definitely helps us, and I feel like in ways where we're each able to mutually help each other,
Oh yeah,
because nobody else from that Lego space, that Funko space, really does what you do. Um, and so I'm really excited to see the growth of your channel, right, and the growth of what you do, because it's unique, it's fun. I'm not gonna sit here and say I watch everything that you make, but I'll watch some of your what's it called when you're doing the Book of Boba Fett stuff.
mm,
Um, like I'll watch some of that stuff, and it's all very good, high quality content. It's not like you're some random kid, random dude out in Colorado who's just throwing together like little crappy videos. Like you
yeah,
actually sit down and you put a lot of work into this. So I feel like mutually somehow, some way, we're all helping each other out, and I'm excited to see what else where you go and what else that you come up with in the future, dude. Because like I said,
yeah,
it's great stuff, and I do feel like there's a lot of people out there, missing out on it because they're also focused on these, big creators or whatever it is that they to skim over. uh, small creators such as yourself. But to say the least, like, big shout out to you because you bring something different to the table and you put a lot of work into it. All right, so keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yeah, appreciate the kind words, man. I feel like we're all trying. That's the thing. We're doing the thing. And it like you said. We all bring something different, and it's I haven't really in this journey. It's been I created the channel 2 years ago, um, and once my wife and I had my son, I kind of took a step back. But then as he's getting a little bit older, I'm able to just pump some content out at night and just really kind of just make sure everything's going smoothly on my end, content wise and editing and uploads. But I mean, it's one of those things where it's cool from you guys. Like I feel like each of you have told me, like, dude, keep grinding, like keep getting at it. Cause it's like before that, really, it's just like, hey, like if I'm talking to my wife, I'm like, hey, babe, like, would this be a cool topic? Like, would you like be interested in that? And then she'll be like, actually, talk about this and this instead. And it's like, oh shit, that is smart. Like my first idea was stupid, so it's just like getting the other ideas. And then, like, I mean, there's a bunch of you guys that are giving me like ideas, and also like the pep talk, and just like, dude, just keep going, like don't stop, like keep pumping that stuff out, so like that's always appreciated because I mean the subscribers and stuff, that's one thing, but it's just like getting that like raw, like organic, like drive always helps. And I mean,
Yeah,
you understand what it is to want to relay to an audience, like to a following. So I mean, yeah, it's all good stuff, and I appreciate you especially for joining me for this episode tonight. This officially, everybody, if you're still here, is the longest episode in Clan Brandolorian a conversation history. So I mean, this one is for the books.
well, my bad, man. I don't know. We
Now,
just a lot of good topics that we were talking about. But it's fun. Whenever you want to do it again, let me know because I
mm-hmm.
enjoy it. Um, I would never do my own YouTube channel. I feel like I'm very camera shy and I wouldn't know what to say, but this is very organic, you know. So it's fun. And you ever want to have me back on here, or you ever want to have the Cantina crew on here again? Let us know, man, because it's fun. I enjoy doing it. I'm pretty sure the other boys like doing it as well. And like I said, it's all mutual. It's all helping each other grow, and it's fun. I enjoy it. Can't say anything else besides that.
Yeah, man, I'm down with it, man. Yeah, I can't wait till we can orchestrate another live. I feel like it's gonna happen any one of these weekends coming up, especially with summer about to roll around the corner. And plus, why would you guys not want to come see us? Last episode was awesome. We had like 3 Legos dropped. Some of them might have been by Gigi himself, but it was it was a great time. And I mean, just stay tuned for the next. But if you want to go ahead, let everyone know where they can find you and what GGBrickzz stands for.
So y'all can find me on Instagram at GGBrickzz. I also every now and then I don't stream too frequently on Whatnot, but I do sell Lego. Like I said, I'm always on the hunt at Walmart for those clearance deals, and most of the time I try to pass some of those deals on to y'all. So definitely check out my Whatnot as well. I'll probably be doing a stream in the next two to 4 weeks. That's the goal. Um, Besides that, I've taken a little break because of finals week, but I do plan on coming back full force next week. And I'm investing on a camera, so I've been doing
Ooh.
everything on my phone. So I'll be investing on a camera and see what new stuff I got to learn and how much better I can make what I'm already doing. So y'all can find me on there. And GG, I don't want to go too deep into it because it's going to turn into another hour conversation. But pretty much, growing up, I played a lot of video games, and I had a buddy who, every time we did something dumb, most of the time it was me. He'd go like, "Man, GG, Will, like GG, like come on, man." And I basically adopted it. And so I put it on everything now because it's a reminder of, those fun times when we were just playing video games, and it just rolls off the tongue pretty easily too, like GG Will or GGBrickzz. So I've been using it. I mean, I use it for my gamer tags and everything. So that's where the GG comes from. It's not, a lot of people are like, is that your girl's name, or is that like your mom's name or something? No, no. It's literally me making dumb choices on some random video game I was playing 10 plus years ago. And my friend going, GG Will, come on, man.
That's
That's where I
so
got the
funny.
name.
Man,
So,
what a lore story. That's amazing. Because I always thought it was like, good game bricks. Like maybe you're like like a hardcore gamer. I mean, every time I play anything or, if I'm playing hoops in person or anything, it's just GG's, good game.
yeah.
Always a good sport, But yeah, GGBrickzz. Make sure you go follow him on Instagram. Very talented with the Lego photography, and of course, we have one collab so far. It's the second collab out of the Cantina Chaos. On my end, I try to mix in a little bit of Funko with their Lego, and then every once in a while, I'll mix in my own Lego. Um, but at the same time, these are the best guys to do it, and they're definitely showing me the way. But yeah, man, thanks for joining me tonight. This was a great episode. Had a lot of fun, and for all those out there watching, make sure you go follow him on Instagram. Follow me while you're there if you're not already, and of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way, you don't miss any Star Wars content, whether that's lore, theories, Funko, and Lego, of course. But yeah, until next time, guys, we will catch you. I'm out.